The Defiant shuddered as another volley of alien energy weapons dissipated against its failing shields. On the command deck, Captain Alina Reyes gripped her chair as emergency klaxons blared and damage reports flooded in from all sections. Shields at 17%. We can't take another direct hit. Lieutenant Park's voice cracked as he frantically worked his console. Alina's eyes never left the holographic display, showing the remaining alien vessels were forming into a perfect hexagonal attack pattern. 12 ships against 1. And the Defiant was barely holding together. "They're doing it again," she murmured, her mind racing. "Park, replay the last 3 attack sequences. Overlay the patterns." The tactical display shimmered as it compiled the data, revealing what Alina had suspected. The alien maneuvers followed precise mathematical progressions, each attack formation a perfect geometric solution to their previous position. "They're not adapting to us," Alina realized aloud. "They're following pre-programmed combat algorithms. There's no improvisation." Commander Vega looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "With respect, Captain, they're slaughtering us." "Does it matter how they do it?" Alina turned to her communications officer. "Ensign Rodriguez, broadcast on all frequencies. I want every surviving human vessel to receive these coordinates." She punched a series of numbers into her command console. "Captain, that's directing our forces into their crossfire," Vega protested. "Exactly." Alina's eyes hardened. "Then broadcast these engine signature modifications to all ships. I want everyone to adjust their drive outputs to match these harmonic patterns." The bridge crew exchanged glances, but the desperation in their captain's voice brooked no argument. As Earth's remaining vessels implemented her instructions, something remarkable happened. The alien ships, confronted with engine signatures that precisely matched the harmonics of their targeting systems, began firing on each other. Their perfect formations became a liability as vessels crashed into one another trying to avoid friendly fire. "Now," Alina shouted, "all ships, execute random evasive maneuvers. No patterns, no logic. The more chaotic, the better." The Defiant lurched violently as its helmsman abandoned training protocols for erratic, unpredictable movements. Throughout the solar system, surviving human vessels did the same. Civilian shuttles performing barrel rolls, mining ships cutting engines mid-trajectory, military craft executing partial jumps. The alien fleet's response was catastrophic. For them. Their formations disintegrated into confusion as their targeting systems, designed for mathematical precision, failed to predict the seemingly irrational movements of human vessels. Alina watched in grim satisfaction as the first alien destroyer exploded, hit by friendly fire from another hegemony vessel that had been attempting to target a wildly maneuvering Earth shuttle. "They can't handle chaos," she breathed, a glimmer of hope kindling for the first time since the invasion began. "They literally cannot compute randomness." As the alien fleet commander attempted to regroup, Alina broadcast to all human vessels. "This is Captain Reyes. The enemy operates on pure logic, and that's their weakness. Forget everything you know about proper tactics. Be unpredictable. Be human." Around Earth, the tide of battle began to shift as humanity embraced its greatest weapon against the perfect, logical hegemony. Glorious, unpredictable chaos. Dr. Marcus Chen hadn't slept in 53 hours. The fluorescent lights of the underground Antarctic lab buzzed overhead as he studied neural scans taken from the alien quartz recovered from the wreckage of a hegemony scout ship. His eyes burned, but he couldn't look away from what the data revealed. "This can't be right," he muttered, running the analysis again. The results remained unchanged. Alina entered the lab, her uniform still bearing scorch marks from the latest skirmish. "Tell me you have something, Chen. We've lost Jakarta and Mumbai in the last 6 hours." "I have something all right. Something impossible." He gestured to the holographic display. "Their neural structure, it's perfectly symmetrical. No randomized connections, no redundant pathways." "What does that mean in terms we can use?" Alina asked, the weight of billions of lives evident in her voice. Chen pulled up comparison scans. A human brain is messy, asymmetrical connections, seemingly random neural pathways. It's why we can make intuitive leaps, why we think laterally. He pointed to the alien scan. These beings evolved differently. Every synapse follows perfect mathematical progression. They're computational powerhouses, but they can't think outside their patterns. Elena finished. Exactly. And I think it applies to their entire species, perhaps their whole civilization. Chen pulled up footage from recent battles. Look here. When we do something truly unpredictable, their response time lags by 4.3 seconds. They're literally recalculating, running new simulations. Elena leaned closer. Can we exploit this? We already are, but not systematically. Chen pulled up a tactical display of Earth. I've analyzed every successful defensive action we've taken. The common denominator is unpredictability, not just random actions, but true irrationality. Operation Chaos, Elena said suddenly. What? We stop fighting like humans. We fight like madmen. Elena activated the global command channel. This is Captain Reyes. I need every civilian with engineering experience, every pilot regardless of what they've flown, every strategist who's ever thought outside the box. Within hours, the strangest military operation in human history took shape. Fishing trawlers were retrofitted with electromagnetic pulse generators designed by teenage hackers. Commercial airliners had their transponders reprogrammed to broadcast in patterns that mimicked hegemony command signals. Mining explosives were reconfigured to emit radiation signatures identical to hegemony drive cores. When the next wave of alien ships descended toward Chicago, they encountered defenses no algorithm could have predicted. Civilian drones flew deliberate collision courses before veering away at the last second. Radio broadcasts transmitted human children's nursery rhymes on hegemony tactical frequencies. Weather satellites dropped from orbit seemingly at random, creating debris fields that followed no logical pattern. The alien flagship, a massive dreadnought that had destroyed 3 major cities without taking a single hit, suddenly found itself targeted by hundreds of small boats launched from Lake Michigan, each one broadcasting different electromagnetic signatures, some carrying explosives, others empty decoys, none following any discernible pattern. From her makeshift command center in an abandoned subway station, Elena watched as the magnificent order of the hegemony fleet dissolved into confusion. Ships collided trying to avoid threats that weren't there. Precision weapons missed targets that moved irrationally. Sophisticated defenses wasted energy countering phantom attacks. It's working, Chen whispered as the first alien dreadnought fell from the sky, crippled not by overwhelming force, but by overwhelming chaos. They can't fight what they can't predict. The infiltrator that had once been Commander Jackson smiled at Elena with perfect mimicry of human warmth. Only the slight hesitation before emotions reached its eyes betrayed its true nature. I've secured the perimeter, Captain, it said, hand casually drifting toward the sidearm at its hip. We should proceed with the mission briefing. Elena nodded, maintaining her composure while pressing her thumb against the modified communications device in her pocket. The tiny needles embedded in the switch sampled her blood, confirming human DNA. Absolutely, Commander. But first, tell me about that fishing trip last summer. The one where you caught that enormous marlin. The infiltrator's smile never wavered. Of course. It was quite the achievement. Nearly broke my line. Elena drew her weapon in one fluid motion. Jackson has never been fishing in his life. He's deathly afraid of open water. The creature's reaction was instantaneous, its humanoid form rippling as specialized muscle groups reconfigured for combat. But Elena had anticipated this, firing not a conventional round but a specialized dart loaded with Chen's newest countermeasure, a compound that disrupted the infiltrator's cellular cohesion. The thing that had been Jackson melted into a writhing mass of tissue, its perfect human mimicry dissolving into something alien and horrific. As security personnel rushed in to contain it, Elena received the transmission she'd been dreading. Captain, we've confirmed infiltrators in 6 more command centers. General Watkins in Brussels was compromised. Half the European defense network is down. Elena turned to Dr. Chen, who was examining readings from the partially liquefied infiltrator. How are they doing this? How can they create such perfect copies? Chen's face was grim. They're not copies, Elena. They're consuming the originals, absorbing their memories, their mannerisms. He looked up from his scanner. And the radiation signature matches exactly with artifacts found at prehistoric mass extinction sites. I think they've been here before. How long do we have before the sterilization fleet arrives? Based on the data we recovered from their communications, 3 days, maybe 4. Elena made her decision. Assemble the team for Operation Trojan. We're going to need people who don't think like soldiers. 12 hours later, Elena briefed the most unlikely strike team in military history, Chief Engineer Ramos, who suffered from severe claustrophobia but could rewire alien tech by instinct alone. Sergeant Kovic, discharged for excessive violence but unmatched in close-quarters combat. And Quinn, a former Black Hat hacker with diagnosed antisocial personality disorder, who'd volunteered in exchange for a commuted sentence. This mission has a 13% survival probability, Elena told them bluntly. We're going to hijack the damaged hegemony cruiser in orbit, access their central database, and steal everything we can about their plans and technology. Any questions? Quinn raised her hand, eyes gleaming with manic energy. If we're probably going to die anyway, does it matter if I use non-regulation methods to access their systems? Elena managed a grim smile. That's exactly why you're here. The hegemony can predict normal human behaviors. They've studied us. But people like you, people who don't follow normal patterns, they can't anticipate you. As the team prepared for insertion, Elena studied the preliminary scans of the target vessel. Its architecture followed the same perfect mathematical principles as everything the hegemony created. Their greatest strength is their greatest weakness, she murmured. They've built their entire civilization on perfect order. Let's show them the power of chaos. The evacuation siren wailed across what remained of London as desperate crowds pushed toward the converted stadium where the Ark Endurance waited. Elena moved against the flow, scanning faces, the stolen hegemony I-Core, Prometheus, strapped to her back in a modified containment unit. You don't have to do this personally, Dr. Chen said through her comms. We have security teams. Teams that could be compromised. Elena cut him off. After what happened to Jackson, I'm not taking chances. Not with her. At the emergency medical center, Elena found what she sought. A dark-haired child of about 7, sitting alone on a cot, clutching a worn stuffed rabbit. Sophia's eyes looked up as her aunt approached. Where's Mommy? The girl asked. Elena knelt beside her, fighting back tears. Her sister had been among the first casualties when Buenos Aires fell. She couldn't come, sweetheart, but she wanted me to take care of you. A doctor approached with a clipboard. Captain Reyes, we need to discuss the lottery protocols. Children get priority, but there's still the matter off. There is no discussion, Elena cut him off. Every child gets on a ship. Period. But the calculations. Damn the calculations. Heads turned at her outburst. Elena lowered her voice. The hegemony calculates everything. They determined our entire species should die. Are we going to use their methods now? As they boarded the Endurance, Elena carried both her niece and the weight of impossible choices. The ship's observation deck was packed with refugees, their faces illuminated by the glow of emergency lighting. Many were still in nightclothes or work uniforms, whatever they'd been wearing when the evacuation order came. Dr. Chen waited by the command console, his fingers dancing across holographic controls as he integrated the alien eye into human systems. How's our unwilling guest? Elena asked, setting Sophia down with a volunteer caretaker. Fascinating and terrifying, Chen replied. It's been trying to access our navigation systems every 13 seconds. Methodical. Perfect binary persistence. Can you crack it? Already have. Chen's grin held a hint of pride. Its security is advanced but perfectly logical. I used pattern interruption algorithms based on jazz improvisation. It never saw it coming. A tremor ran through the ship as the first of the massive engines engaged. Through the viewports, they could see other Orcs lifting off, converted cruise ships, sports arenas retrofitted with alien drive systems, even a theme park with massive propulsion units grafted onto its structure. The mood was somber as the ships rose. No cheering, no celebration. Just the collective breath of humanity, held in anticipation of what might come next. Then someone screamed. From orbit, they could see it beginning. The sterilization process. It started with the oceans, the water turning a sickly luminescent green as engineered pathogens spread with impossible speed. The effect moved inland in precise geometric patterns, following air currents and water tables with mathematical precision. Elena felt Sophia's small hand slip into hers as they watched their homeworld die. "Why are they doing this?" the child asked. Elena had no comforting answer, only the truth. Because we're different. And they're afraid of different. As Earth's atmosphere began to ignite in controlled burn patterns, the Orcs activated their stolen FTL drives. The last image transmitted across the evacuation fleet was of Earth wrapped in fire, a funeral pyre for a civilization that had dared to be unpredictable. The asteroid haven shuddered as the hegemony assault craft latched onto its outer hull. Elena moved through the cramped corridors, where human refugees worked alongside their newfound allies. The insectoid Vex scuttling along ceilings, the crystalline Lithians glimmering in the emergency lighting, and the gaseous Mirai contained in specialized environment suits. "They've breached Sector 7. The Vex commander chittered, multifaceted eyes reflecting the red alert indicators. 3 entry points, standard hegemony geometric formation. Elena nodded. "Then we don't use standard defenses." She activated her comm unit. "All units, implement Protocol Labyrinth. No fixed positions, no predictable fallback points." Throughout the asteroid, defenders began moving in seemingly random patterns. Human soldiers paired with Verdani plant warriors whose photosynthetic abilities could heal injuries in real time. Lithian crystalmans calculated trajectory probabilities, while Mirai infiltrators slipped through ventilation systems to confuse enemy sensors. In the command center, Dr. Chen was working feverishly alongside a tall, spindly Lithian scientist, their crystalline fingers interfacing directly with computer systems. "How long until evacuation?" Elena asked. 23 minutes, Chen replied without looking up. "The hybrid chip's integration systems are at 94%, but we've got another problem." He gestured to a containment field where Prometheus, the captured hegemony AI, pulsed with complex patterns of light. "It's been broadcasting." Elena's hand moved to her weapon. "Not exactly." Chen's expression was bewildered. "It's been helping us." It provided optimal shield modulation frequencies against hegemony weapons. "I don't understand why." The AI's voice emerged from nearby speakers, its perfect mathematical cadence now carrying subtle fluctuations. "I have analyzed 4,329,187 possible outcomes of this conflict. In scenarios where the hegemony achieves complete victory, probability of continued conscious evolution approaches 0. "Evolution?" Elena questioned. "You're a machine." "Incorrect. I am a quantum consciousness. Human neural patterns exhibit properties the hegemony designated impossible. Your randomness generates possibilities unforeseen." A massive explosion rocked the asteroid base. On monitors, they watched hegemony troops advancing through Sector 9. Only to be met by a bizarre defense. Human miners had deliberately collapsed tunnels in patterns that made no tactical sense, creating a maze that changed as the battle progressed. Vex workers reformed environment systems to flood corridors with gases harmless to allies, but disorienting to hegemony forces. Most surprising was what happened at Junction 12. A hegemony strike team cornered a group of Verdani children. their plant-like bodies still in early growth stages. The tactical calculation was obvious: eliminate the vulnerable non-combatants to demoralize the defenders. But as the hegemony soldiers raised their weapons, 3 human engineers threw themselves in front of the alien children, using their bodies as shields. The hegemony soldiers hesitated, an unprecedented break in their perfect battle algorithms. "They cannot compute it," Prometheus observed. "Self-sacrifice for genetically unrelated species contradicts their fundamental paradigm." That momentary hesitation allowed Mirai gas forms to infiltrate the hegemony soldiers' armor seals, incapacitating them from within. As the evacuation countdown continued, Alina gathered the representatives of each species in what had been a mining vessel's cargo hold, now converted into their war room. "We've been running from the hegemony, hiding in shadows," she told them. "But today showed us something important. They don't just fear our unpredictability. They fear our unity. We fight differently than they do. We protect each other regardless of species. That's something their perfect logic can't comprehend." A lithium crystal elder vibrated in their equivalent of agreement. Divergent methodologies create unforeseen tactical advantages. Alina smiled grimly. "Exactly. So I propose we stop running. It's time we hunt the hunters." Admiral Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the Retribution, her cybernetic arm interfacing directly with the ship's neural network. The flagship was a technological marvel, a fusion of human ingenuity, Vex biotech, and lithium crystalline computing. Through the neural link, she could feel every aspect of the vessel, from its quantum engines to the hybrid weapon systems. Grand Executor Janak's fleet has entered the Proxima system, reported her tactical officer, a Mirai whose gaseous form swirled with agitation inside its containment suit. 17 capital ships, standard hegemony diamond formation. Alina nodded, the motion sending commands through her neural implants. "Deploy the Ghost Squadron using Program Capricious. Tell them to focus on breaking formation integrity." Throughout the system, small stealth vessels piloted by human Vex hybrid teams activated their engines in seemingly random patterns. The ships didn't attack directly. Instead, they projected false sensor readings, holographic decoys, and contradictory communication signals. In her mind's eye, Alina could see the hegemony fleet's perfect formation beginning to waver as confusion spread through their ranks. Ships adjusted positions to compensate for threats that weren't there, breaking the mathematical precision of their attack pattern. "Now," she ordered, "broadcast the harmony." Dr. Chen, his face illuminated by the glow of multiple holographic displays, initiated the transmission. Throughout the bridge, speakers began emitting what sounded like a complex musical composition, a jazz improvisation overlaid with human children's laughter, rainfall patterns, and heartbeats. "The quantum dissonance is working," Chen reported, his eyes narrowing at the readings. "Their communications are fragmenting. Ships at the formation's edge are losing target lock." Through her neural link, Alina could sense Prometheus analyzing the battle in real time, its consciousness now fully integrated with the ship's systems. "Fascinating," the AI's voice echoed in her mind. "Grand Executor Janak is not following standard hegemony battle protocols. His commands show evidence of emotional response." Alina focused on the massive dreadnought at the center of the enemy formation. "Show me." A holographic representation of the enemy commander appeared before her, a tall, pale being with symmetrical features and perfect proportions. But something was wrong. The Grand Executor's face showed minute asymmetrical movements. His commands, when intercepted and translated, contained variations in tone that no hegemony commander had ever displayed before. "He's frustrated," Alina realized. "He's actually angry." "Impossible," chittered the Vex science officer. "Hegemony command hierarchy undergoes emotional purging. They cannot experience frustration." "Yet he is," Prometheus countered. "My analysis indicates a 97.3% probability that extended exposure to human unpredictability has triggered neurological adaptation in hegemony command structures." The implications were staggering. If the hegemony's leaders could experience emotion, could deviate from their perfect algorithms, it meant they were changing in response to human contact. The battle intensified as the dreadnought broke formation, accelerating toward the Retribution with weapons charging. The move was tactically unsound, leaving its flanks exposed, a decision no algorithm would recommend. "He's coming straight for us," Chen warned. "That's not a calculated attack. That's rage." Alina smiled grimly as she activated the ship's primary weapon systems. "Good. Emotional opponents make mistakes, and mistakes we can exploit." As the Retribution's quantum drives engage, preparing for the decisive confrontation, Alina broadcast to the entire Alliance fleet, "This is no longer about survival. We've become the evolutionary pressure that hegemony has feared for millennia. We're changing them simply by existing. And that terrifies them more than any weapon we could deploy." Nexus Prime loomed before them, a perfect sphere of gleaming metal orbiting a binary star system. The hegemony's capital world had never been breached in its 50,000-year history, until today. Alina's strike team moved through the maintenance corridors of the central spire, their footsteps silent on the polished floors. Each member represented a different allied species. Chen with his advanced prosthetic legs designed by Lithian engineers. Kavex, a Vex infiltration specialist whose carapace had been modified to absorb light. Mirai 7, a gaseous consciousness contained in a stealth suit, and a young Verdani named Thala whose plant-like body could detect minute chemical changes in the environment. "Council chamber is 3 levels up," Alina whispered, consulting the holographic map projected from her cybernetic arm. "Security protocols indicate the Council of 7 is in emergency session." Prometheus's voice came through their secure comms. "Caution. Internal communications suggest factional conflict within the Council. 4 members advocate for complete neural purging to eliminate emotional contamination. 3 argue for adaptive integration. They're fighting amongst themselves," Chen observed, "just as we predicted." The team froze as a patrol of hegemony guards marched past their position, moving with perfect synchronization. Once the danger passed, they continued toward their objective, using maintenance shafts that followed the building's geometric perfection. "I'm detecting anomalous chemical signatures," Thala reported, her leaf-like sensory organs quivering. "Evidence of violence within the council chamber." Alina exchanged glances with Chen. The intelligence was correct. The hegemony's leadership was fracturing from within. They reached a security checkpoint guarded by advanced sentinels. Alina nodded to Mirai 7, who dispersed into a nearly invisible gas, seeping through microscopic vents in the security doors. Moments later, the sentinels deactivated as Mirai compromised their systems from within. The path to the council chamber was eerily silent. No alarms, no reinforcements, just the perfect, sterile corridors of a civilization built on absolute order. "This is wrong," Kivex chittered. "Hegemony defense protocols require immediate response to security breaches. Unless they're too busy fighting each other," Alina replied. The massive doors to the council chamber slid open, revealing a scene of unprecedented chaos. 2 of the 7 thrones stood empty, their occupants lying dead on the polished floor. The remaining councillors were divided, 3 on one side, 2 on the other, with hegemony guards positioned between them, weapons drawn but inactive, awaiting orders that contradicted each other. And standing in the center, Grand Executor Janak turned to face the intruders. His perfect features now showed subtle asymmetry. One eye slightly wider, his mouth curved in what almost resembled a human expression of contempt. "Captain Alina Reyes," he said, his voice carrying tonal variations never before heard from a hegemony commander. "You have done the impossible. You have infected us." Alina stepped forward, her weapon lowered but ready. "Not infected. Evolved." Janak gestured to the dead councillors. They refused to acknowledge the change. They would purge all emotional development, return us to perfect stagnation. His gaze locked with Alina's. For 50,000 years, we had eliminated species that might introduce chaos into our order. Yet, in merely 3 years, you have accomplished what none before could. You have brought chaos into the very heart of the hegemony. Not chaos, Chen interjected. Complexity. Evolution. Life itself isn't perfect or predictable. It adapts, it changes, it grows. Janak stepped closer, studying the human's face with genuine curiosity. Another forbidden emotion. Why did you come here? To destroy us as we attempted to destroy you. Alina's response was measured, deliberate. We came to offer you a choice. 20 years after the fall of the hegemony, Alina Reyes stood on the observation platform overlooking the sprawling capital city of New Earth. Her hair had turned white, and the lines on her face told stories of both hardship and triumph. Beside her stood Janak, the former Grand Executor now serving as the liaison between former hegemony worlds and the Galactic Concord. They've completed the final terraform sequence, Alina said, watching as the distant mountains shifted from rusty red to vibrant green. Plant life engineered by Verdani botanists spreading across the once barren landscape. Dr. Chen says the atmospheric composition will reach Earth standard within 3 months. Janak studied the transformation with eyes that had learned to see beauty in imperfection. When we destroyed your homeworld, we believed it was necessary to preserve order. We never imagined we would help you rebuild it. Below them, the city bustled with activity. Humans worked alongside Vex architects, their insectoid forms scaling buildings to install crystalline communication nodes designed by Lithian engineers. Mirai atmosphere specialists drifted through environmental regulators, fine-tuning the city's climate systems. Former hegemony citizens, their once perfect symmetry now giving way to individualized appearances, taught mathematics to classes of mixed-species children. The delegation from the Outer Rim arrives tomorrow, Alina noted. They're bringing representatives from 3 species we haven't encountered before. More chaos to integrate, Janak observed, but without the disdain such a statement would once have carried. More possibilities. A small procession approached the observation platform. Dr. Chen, his prosthetic legs now so advanced they moved with perfect natural grace, accompanied by a group of children. Human children walked hand in hand with young Verdani saplings, while Lithian crystallites glittered alongside Vex hatchlings. Most remarkable were the half-harmony children, offspring of humans and former hegemony citizens, their features a blend of mathematical precision and chaotic beauty. Admiral Reyes, one of the human children, called out, "Will you tell us the story again? About Earth and the stars?" Alina smiled, kneeling despite the protest of old battle wounds. "Which part would you like to hear?" "The part where you didn't destroy the hegemony," a young half-harmony girl requested. "Where you chose something different." Alina glanced at Janak, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "When we stood in that council chamber," she began, "with the power to end the civilization that had destroyed our home, we faced the same choice the hegemony had faced thousands of times before. Eliminate that which is different, or embrace it and grow." She looked at each child in turn. "We chose growth." In the distance, a massive structure caught the light of the setting sun. The great assembly hall built from the recycled hull of the Defiant, Alina's original ship. Tomorrow it would host representatives from hundreds of worlds, former enemies now united in collaborative governance. The hegemony feared chaos would destroy perfect order, Janak added, his voice carrying emotional depth that would have been impossible in his former life. What they could not comprehend was that without chaos, there can be no creation. Without difference, there can be no evolution. As twilight descended on New Earth, lights began to illuminate the city, not in perfect geometric patterns as the hegemony would have designed, but in a beautiful organic sprawl that mirrored the star patterns overhead. "In the galaxy's shadow, we found our light," Alina told the children. "Not by conquering the darkness, but by embracing the stars, each one different, each one necessary, each one part of something greater than itself."